Song of Justice is a terrible scout rifle. Guys, there's no other way for me to put it. This scout rifle looks cool. I mean, it looks amazing. I think it's a beautiful weapon, but it's got auto-loading holster, which is the holster weapon is automatically reloaded after a short period of time, which is nice in PvE, but in PvP, not necessarily. On top of that, the weapon's handling speed is just so slow. So this weapon it's considered a high-impact scout, which is, I don't even know why we call this high impact, because 52 a crit is just not high in comparison to what we're used to, but that's what we're calling high impact in Destiny 2 right now. Again, it's one of those weapons that, yes, it does hit harder than what you would get out of something like a Mighty Multi-Tool, but it's slow. It's slow, its handling is slow, the weapon all around reacts slow, it feels bulky. Nothing about the weapon is a big selling point for me in PvP. Matter of fact, I hate to be harsh, but I would have to say this is probably one of the worst scout rifles I've ever played with. So, yeah. The submachine gun Royal Dispensation is actually not terrible. It is a 900 round per minute, and if you are a fan of Showrunner, then, and I am actually, this weapon might actually be right up your alley. Now, I messed around with this weapon a bunch this morning. I gotta say, it's not bad. The high caliber rounds is nice on it too. You can definitely tell that it's taking effect, but I don't know. It almost seems like you maybe need to go with a trade-off on steady rounds. I mean, the weapon itself is what you want out of it is have consistent shots, not necessarily needing shots to flinch them back a lot. High count does help with range a little bit, but for me, I felt like my gun, even with like energy counterbalance mods, was kind of just moving off target and was just all over the place, man. It's spraying, and it is a 900 round per minute gun, and like Showrunner, man, that gun can spray out, but that archetype is really good, especially when it comes to cleanup kills. And so when it comes to cleanup kills, you want to make sure all your shots are landing. I just found that high caliber round maybe not be the best thing for it, and go with something like steady rounds. Grave Robber itself, it's not necessarily a perk utilized in PvP. Moving on to the auto rifle, man, Restoration. Now, I messed around with this gun a bunch, try to really give it a fair shake. Guys, its biggest trait on it is quick draw, which I found to be kind of a waste of a perk, especially on something like an auto rifle to begin with, because most of the time you're going to be out with your auto rifle already there, right? So the quick draw trait there just didn't seem like a good perk to be utilized on this gun. Everything else about it is not necessarily terrible. You know, I go accurized rounds, and I kind of swap between the SO10 sights and the SLO21, just kind of seeing what's what between both of them. The problem with this gun is the fact that it is a 600 round per minute weapon, and it's got such little stability. If this was a 450 round per minute weapon, then I would say, okay, stability's fine, it's doable, it's you can live with that. But with it being 600 rounds, you got more kick with the weapon, and the little bit of stability is just not something that's going to help this weapon stay on point. I can definitely tell in the mid-range level, where things like Uriel's and Prosecutor, and even things like the number from Future War Cult that dominates so well, I can just tell the reticle on this weapon just tends to move too much for it to be considered a consistent auto rifle to go head-to-head against our other autos. Unification is a full auto slug shotty with high caliber rounds. Now, this weapon is good, but you got to load it on the right areas. I actually was messing around with it. I tried to go rifle barrel with it. I realized real quickly, I was like, no, rifle is it just doesn't have what I need. And see, the reason why I say that is when it comes to shotties, especially slug shotties, you gotta have a shotty that's got enough handling speed. It's gotta react quickly so that you can, because it's one thing to get a shot off into someone's body. It's another thing to get a precision shot off with a shotgun, and that means you need a shotty to come in and out of its sights really quickly so that you can land that shot. So fluted barrel is what I was rocking with. You know, of course, I tried the high caliber rounds. It's kind of what I stayed with. You can swap between that and assault mag. That doesn't really take that, even though it messes with the rounds per minute by 5. It didn't seem like it played that big of a role. High caliber rounds, it's nice, but again, the goal here is that you make the shot count the first time. So you want the first shot to be your killer shot, and of course full auto for those situations that even if you do have to, you know, you can lay on the trigger and put them down. The weapon itself is not terrible. I just did not find as much consistency with it in PvP as I would have liked to. Now, since swapping over to fluted barrel, like I said, the weapon felt cleaner. Yo guys, last but not least is your sidearm after you receive your new Monarchy victory, Interregnum. Now this sidearm is very similar to Dead Man Walking, which is a full auto sidearm as well that I actually really like a bunch. Now this sucker comes with snapshot, actorized rounds, high caliber rounds, and a number of different sights here that I'm just gonna have to mess around with the gun to see how it plays out in PvP. Just looking at it, it looks pretty solid, but then there's a couple other sidearms already that's got things on lockdown, such as Last Hope, The Last Dance. Those are actually personal favorites of mine, and so this thing's got a tough fight ahead of it to see if it can place above one of those, but I am looking forward to getting my hands on this gun. Out of everything here that you saw today, guys, I gotta say the shotgun itself is the main thing, the main winner out of all the guns. I found the shotgun to be extremely good. Once you get it down, and especially if you go with fluted barrel and start messing with it, you can really start mapping people. It's got some great mapping capabilities, and so in the least, get this shotgun. This is a must-have out of all the weapons that I've seen at this faction, and definitely one that I would not pass up. Well, fellas, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is pretty much new Monarchy. If you want to see this for Dead Orbit, definitely hit that like button for me. That tells me that you want me to make another video on one of these factions. If you have not seen the Future War Cult video, there will be a link in the description below, so definitely feel free to check that out. I went over all the weapons yesterday on it, and of course, there'll be a card above. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming and watching, and as always, slap that like button like your mama told you right.